Is this thing on? It is. All right, I'm DaRock. Welcome to another video of Talking Ball. We did our college football playoff picks for the week, so now we're going to do some NFL predictions, go over the playoff picture. 3 weeks to go here in the NFL season, so a lot of big games this week. We got good games, Saturday, Thursday, all throughout the week, so make sure to drop your predictions for these games down in the comments. While you're down there, make sure to subscribe to the channel or follow the show if you're listening on Spotify. Make sure to like the video, and let's get into it. So we'll start off here, once again, looking over the playoff picture. So we have two spots clinched already. Both the Broncos and the Rams have clinched at least a playoff berth at this point. Both of these teams still sitting in the 1 seed, so looking very good to potentially get that bye. They're already in the playoffs, so we'll see if they can lock up the bye. Big game for the Rams against Seahawks this weekend. The Broncos, not an easy test either, playing a playoff team, the Jags. Then the next couple spots. So we have the Patriots, Jaguars, and Steelers still as the division leaders in the AFC. That is unchanged. And then on the NFC side, the Bears now jump back up to the 2 seed in the NFC North leaders with their win over the Browns, and the Packers lost to the Broncos. The Eagles are the 3 seed with a win on Saturday against the Commanders. They clinch the NFC East for the second straight year. The Bucs still the 4 seed in the NFC after both them and Carolina suffered losses. Then the wild card teams would be the Chargers, Bills, and Texans on the AFC side, same as last week, I believe. And then the Seahawks, 49ers, and Packers on the NFC side. As you see there, the Packers drop all the way from 2 to 7. That's how close the NFC is. So big game here for them against the Bears this week. That could go a really long way in determining who wins the division. Looking at the teams still in the mix, the Colts and Ravens on the AFC side. Really, the Ravens are only still in it if they can win the AFC North, which they play the Steelers in Week 18, so that's going to end up being a pretty big one in determining that. The Colts still kind of in the mix here for the wild card, granted now 2 games behind Jacksonville with 3 to go, so really not looking great there. Plus, now they're starting Phillip Rivers. I forget if he's starting again this week or who they're going with, but really things not looking good for the Colts. I would say for the most part, the AFC playoff picture is looking pretty set. Really, the only change we might see is if the Ravens win the South, the Ravens win the North and the Steelers, drop out that. And then in the South, we can maybe see these teams move around, but I think we're probably looking at the Texans and the Jags as the 2 playoffs teams. On the NFC side, the Lions still in it. It's really going to be interesting. Like I said, the Bears play the Packers, the 49ers, and the Lions down the stretch here. So, those teams that are 6, 7, and 8 in the NFC, as well as, the Bears are currently a 2 seed, but like I said, that's been flipping like crazy. The Panthers taking on the Bucs this week. They're the 9 seed. Really, that's a similar situation to the AFC North as the NFC South. It's just kind of the winner is going to get in between these 2 teams and still in the race, and then the loser is going to miss the playoffs. Like the team that doesn't win the division is not getting a wild card. And then the Cowboys, they're still technically alive, like I said, with an Eagles win, are eliminated. That loss to the Vikings was pretty bad, and in all honesty, did kind of just end their chances. It was a long shot, but that kind of did it for them making playoffs. So let's move on now to the games for this week. Another 16-game week. No more buys, so things you'll have to see. A lot of ball. Thursday and Saturday games this week. So let's start there on Thursday Night Football. The 11-3 LA Rams head to the 11-3 Seattle Seahawks. Seattle currently a 1.5 point favorite in this one with the total set at 42.5. So the Rams, nice win against the Lions over the weekend. The offense is really clicking. Big games from Puka and Kyron Williams. On the Seattle side, they're coming off a close win against the Colts at home. So these 2 teams, I believe when they played the Rams, I should have had this pulled up, won the first meeting between these 2. Yeah, because their only losses are to the Eagles, the 49ers, and then who was that third loss? Oh, the Panthers a couple weeks ago. So yeah, first meeting Rams took down the Seahawks 21-19 back in Week 11. It is hard to beat a team twice, but I don't know, just like I kind of mentioned, how the Rams looked, especially offensively, just how much they were clicking this past week, where Seattle kind of struggled. Like, I haven't really been super impressed with Sam Darnold as of late. I feel like he's kind of regressed back to the mean. So even though Seattle's favored in this one, I think I am going to end up going with the Rams to take it. I just think they're a better team, and honestly, at this point, probably the best team in the whole league. So give me the Rams. Then moving on. First, the 4 p.m. game on Fox on Saturday. The 9-5 Philadelphia Eagles head to the 4-10 Washington Commanders. Eagles are currently 6.5-point favorites in this one with the spread set at 44.5, or the total set at 44.5. Sorry, I can't speak. Philly, I kind of warned, hey, last week they had a similar slip up 2 years ago where they lost the Cardinals late in the year. They didn't suffer that against the Raiders, just shutting out the Raiders, absolutely dominating them. Commanders do finally get back in the win column, taking down the Giants, who are not very good. But let's be honest here. The Eagles are a way better team than the Giants. I really see the Eagles having no problems in this one. I think, they cover that touchdown spread for sure. I think they probably win by even more than that. I'll go with a final score of 28. I'll go 28-14. Give me the Eagles in this one. Then the Saturday night game. This is the big one. The 9-4-1 Green Bay Packers head to the 10-4 Chicago Bears. Chicago currently a 1.5-point favorite in this one with the total at 46.5. So Green Bay, like I mentioned, lose to Denver over the weekend, but then also lose Micah Parsons, their player that they traded for in the offseason to really kind of put them over the top here as a Super Bowl contender. The Bears, nice win against the Browns. Granted, Browns not a very good team. But like I kind of talked about how difficult this Bears stretch is here down the stretch. Schedule is down the stretch with the Packers, the 49ers, and then the Lions to wrap it up. You got to win games like that. This one is at Soldier Field. Honestly, though, I feel like the Packers have kind of had the better of the Bears when they've played at Soldier Field. It really seems like when the Bears do kind of sneak out a win recently, it usually is at Lambeau. So while the Bears will have the home field, that I don't think is as much of an advantage in this, divisional game as it would normally be. So these two teams played a really good game 2 weeks ago. Like I said, I don't love when the NFL does this, having teams play, 2 or 3 weeks like this. I really want to take the Bears. I really do. They're the favorites. Like I said, that's a devastating injury for Micah Parsons last week. Like, this Bears team, 10 wins. Like, it's the best they've looked, since 2018. But I don't know. They just never seem to be able to beat the boogeyman of the Packers. I feel like if they were going to do it, it almost was that game 2 weeks ago. Like, just how well they played, and they still, like you see, they just couldn't get that final play needed to win the game. For that reason, I'm honestly going to go with Green Bay. I think I'm going to take them in an upset here. I think it's going to be a popular pick to take the Bears, so I'm going to swerve. I'm going to go with Green Bay to win in Soldier Field. Then moving on to Sunday, the first one, the 7-7 Buccaneers taking on the 7-7 Panthers. This one's in Carolina, first of 2 meetings this season where they're playing twice in the final 3 weeks. Like I said, I don't know why the NFL does this, where it's like we're not going to have teams play all year and then have them play twice in the final, 3, 4, 5 weeks of the season. Just seems kind of goofy to me, but so be it. So Tampa Bay currently 3.5-point favorite in this one, total set at 45.5. And like I mentioned, looking on the playoff picture, both these teams blew prime opportunities to take the lead in the division, solely have that lead this past week. As Tampa Bay, they choked in the second half against the Falcons. Carolina lost to New Orleans for the second time. That's the crazy thing to me. New Orleans is 4-10, and they've beaten the 2 teams leading the division 3 times. Like, that's just nuts to me. This is one I am going to go with the home team. I think, I just really haven't been impressed with the Buccaneers lately. They've been playing really bad. The offense really isn't clicking. Like, Mike Evans came back. You can tell he's frustrated. Just, they really have not looked very good as of late. The Panthers, like I said, Bryce Young, it's hit or miss. You get a lot of big games out of him. Then you also kind of have some stinkers like last week. But I don't know. Just with this one being in Carolina, I think I am going to go with the Panthers. But I think, we're probably looking at, I could see Tampa Bay still winning the division, winning in 2 weeks. Like, I think that Week 18 game is going to pretty much determine, win and get in. So, give me the Panthers in this one, but I think it's going to be a close one. Then next, we got the Bills, 10-4 on the year, heading to the Browns, who are 3-11. The Bills are currently 10.5-point favorites in this one, with a total set at 41.5. So Buffalo, nice comeback win against the Patriots last week. They're down 21-0, come back to win 35-31. A much-needed win to keep their hopes for the AFC race still alive. And they head to a Browns team that is really bad. They scored 3 points last week in Soldier Field. Granted, it was insane. I want to say it was like real feel was like 4 degrees or something like that. So really tough day like that. And when they couldn't get the run game going, and just kind of have to rely on Shadur Sanders to be throwing the ball a lot, I just don't really think that's going to turn out too well for this Browns team. And that's kind of what this game I think is once again going to turn into. Is I think James Cook going to have another big game like he did last week, kind of run all over this Browns team. And then, they're going to be trailing, have to throw the ball, and I just don't think that's going to go well given the weather. So I got the Bills winning. I would probably take them to win by, cover that 10.5, win by double digits. Then next, we got another 10-4 team from the AFC, the Chargers, heading to the 6-7-1 Dallas Cowboys. This one's at 1 Eastern on Fox. The Cowboys are actually 2.5-point favorites with a total set at 49.5. This one, I don't understand how the Cowboys are favored. Like, chances are they're going to be playing for nothing at this point because I think the Eagles are going to win this one. So really all they're going to be up to is playing spoiler, which I guess they've kind of done a little bit. Had a couple, wins here down the stretch that have been like, beating the Eagles a couple weeks ago. But I don't know, this Chargers team, like they're playing some good ball as of late. Like I said, I just don't think really Dallas is going to be playing for anything. And I think, especially just how bad Dallas' defense has looked, like it's been a lot of like shootouts that they've kind of been in recently. Plus, Brandon Aubrey, like missing kicks for them last week was just insane. I don't know, maybe this is one where when Dallas is favored, I should be like, Vegas is telling me something that I'm not picking up on, but I just don't see it. I think, like I said, I think Dallas will be eliminated by then. The Chargers, like they're, in a close race for like a wild card spot, still kind of in it for the division with Denver. Like this is a game they got to win. So for that reason, I am going to go with the Chargers to win. Then matchup between two bad teams at 1 Eastern on CBS. The 3-11 Jets head to the 4-10 New Orleans Saints. New Orleans currently a 4.5-point favorite in this one with a total set at 40.5. I'm not going to lie, Tyler Shuck actually has been playing pretty well for this Saints team as of late. I've liked what I've seen. The Jets, on the other hand, really have not liked what I've seen. I mean, it's the Jets. They're just not a good team. This is typical December Jets. They're out of it. They're not really playing for anything. It probably is like better for them to lose at this point. They get killed by the Jaguars last week. I guess they do put up 20 points. I can't really say I watched that one, too intently. They got Brady Cook playing quarterback. Like, I have no reason to be high on the Jets at all. And like I said, the Saints actually kind of have pulled out a couple sneaky wins here, really been playing spoiler. And, once they've gone to Tyler Shuck over Spencer Rattler, 2 straight wins, three of their last 5, I think they've been playing pretty well. So for that reason, I am going to go with the Saints to take it. And I think, they probably win by a touchdown. So I'll take them against the spread as well. Then moving on here in the noon games, a 6-8 Minnesota Vikings head to the 2-12 New York Giants. Minnesota currently a 3-point favorite in this one with a total set at 43.5. Like I mentioned, the Vikings had a really nice win in Dallas. Like I said, kind of been playing spoiler. They're definitely like out of it. They are eliminated from making the playoffs. But I don't know. Like I said, if JJ McCarthy can have a good game like he had last week, granted, given now playing outside in New York, we'll see if that is the case. But I think if guys like Jalen Reagor, T.J. Hawkinson had a good game. Like if those guys can help him in the passing game, kind of like they did last week, just because Justin Jefferson really has not had a good year. I don't really see any reason why the Vikings should struggle with this Giants team. I mean, they're 2-12, they're really bad. So give me Minnesota to take that one, and I'll take them to cover the spread as well. Then moving on, another 2 teams that are eliminated, and this one's crazy to say. The 6-8 Kansas City Chiefs head to the 2-12 Tennessee Titans. In this one, the Chiefs are currently a 3.5-point favorite with a total set 37.5. I don't really expect much from either team. The Titans' offense has not been good, and now that the Chiefs are going to be without Patrick Mahomes, now that he's torn his ACL, and is out for the year. Hopefully we'll be back for week 1 next year. Honestly, would not surprise me if he is. But yeah, I think this will be a pretty low-scoring game. I guess the Titans did put up 24 points last week, but I don't know. When you put up 24 points and give up 37, it's kind of a lot of garbage time kind of stuff there where I'm not really putting too much weight into that. Yeah, 14 of those points came in the fourth quarter. So yeah, I definitely would take the under in this one, even though it's set pretty low, 37.5. But this honestly could be like a 21-14 game. And I'm going to take the Chiefs. Like I said, no Mahomes definitely is going to hurt them. I think this is probably the last we're going to see of Travis Kelce, but the Titans, similar to Giants, very bad team. Don't really have much expectation for them. So give me the Chiefs. And yeah, I'll take them to cover the 3 points. Then moving on, the 4-10 Bengals head to the 6-8 Dolphins. A lot of really meaningless games here, but I guess maybe not if you're a draft order guy. The Bengals currently 4.5-point favorites in this one with a total set at 47.5. Dolphins, once again, just did not look good on Monday Night Football in the cold. That's just kind of typical Dolphins. That's really what always happens. And then the Bengals, really kind of disappointing. I did think Baltimore was going to win last week, but for Cincinnati to get shut out was just a really poor performance from them. They had that pick 6 in the red zone that they gave up. But yeah, they really just have not looked good. It was fun the 1 week that Joe Burrow came back and they got the win, and they played Buffalo competitive, but after that, it just really hasn't looked good. The Dolphins actually going to be going to Quinn Ewers this week. Going away from Tua, benching him for the rest of the year. I kind of wonder if that means it's kind of the end of the era here in Miami for Tua. We'll kind of see what that means. They just gave him a big contract extension, so that seems kind of interesting to me, but I don't know, maybe this is kind of Mike McDaniel's last effort to save his job. Honestly, with it being a new quarterback bump and just how bad the Bengals have looked, plus I've picked a lot of favorites, I'm going to go with an upset in this one. Give me the Dolphins to take it. Give them close win at home. I feel like that's just very on brand for the Dolphins. They play an explosive offense, maybe have Quinn Ewers has a sneaky good game just because there's not really a lot of tape out on him, and Dolphins end up pulling the upset in a kind of meaningless game, so I'll take Miami. Now moving on to the 3:05 games. First, we got the 5-9 Atlanta Falcons taking on the 3-11 Arizona Cardinals. The Falcons are currently 3-point favorites in this one, with a total set at 48.5. So, like I mentioned, they had a nice win on Thursday Night Football this past week. Coming from behind, Kirk Cousins had some really good throws. Linking up with Drake London. It was just honestly a very impressive game. Like I said, I didn't really see it coming. Bijan, solid game too, rushing for 93 yards and a touchdown. And Kyle Pitts had a really good game too. That's who I'm really thinking of. Sorry, yeah, no, I wasn't. Drake London didn't play. I'm tripping. It was Kyle Pitts. I'm used to it being Drake London and Kyle Pitts doing nothing, but Kyle Pitts has been out for a couple weeks now. Or I'm sorry, Drake London's been out for a couple weeks now. Arizona, they lose once again to Houston again. Houston's really clicking right now, but Arizona's not very good. I can't really say I've watched a whole lot of their games very closely lately. I don't know, maybe this is one of their more winnable ones. They're only plus 130 on the money line, but I just kind of think the Falcons are the better team here. Granted, that's not really saying much, but I have the Falcons going into Arizona and getting the win. Then probably the biggest one here at the 3:05 slate, the 10-4 Jacksonville Jaguars head to the 12-2 Denver Broncos. Denver currently a 3.5-point favorite in this one with a total set at 46.5. This one I'm gonna be glued in for. The Broncos and the Jaguars both have very good offense. Both Trevor Lawrence and Bo Nix playing really well as of late. Like I said, Jacksonville had a big win. Just destroying the Jets, going for 48 points. Their offense is really clicking on all cylinders. And then Denver, made the big plays. Granted, did get stopped on a couple of fourth downs where their defense then kind of to bail them out. But they made, some big plays to get that win at home against a good Green Bay team last week. Like I said, Bo Nix, I thought played really well in that one. So I think this is going to be a good battle. But I do think, that this game being in Denver does definitely play into the Broncos' hands. I feel like a lot of these big games recently they've had at home, which is a pretty big advantage for them. So for that reason, I am going to go with Denver to take this one. I think it's going to be a high-scoring one. I could very easily see this being a game that goes right down to the wire, being, 28-24, something like that. So give me the Broncos, and yeah, I'd probably take the over. Then moving on, 3:25 on CBS, the 8-6 Pittsburgh Steelers head to the 8-6 Detroit Lions. The Lions are currently 7-point favorites in this one with a total set at 51.5. In all honesty, that seems like a kind of high spread. Pittsburgh's been playing pretty well as of late. I feel like we've seen a lot of almost vintage Aaron Rodgers for some of these plays. Granted, they got off to a kind of slow start against Miami, but then, second, third quarter really got it clicking. Ended up running away with this one. Detroit, on the other hand, they've struggled a little bit as of late. Losing some games like to the Packers. Did beat the Cowboys after the week after Thanksgiving. But then losing once again last week to the Rams. Like, time's kind of starting to run out for the Lions. It's been, they're a good team, but they just really haven't been able to get it done in a lot of these close games. So it's kind of put up or shut up time for them. I do think this is going to be like a one-possession game. I think Pittsburgh covers that spread. But like I said, it does really mean a lot for the Lions. So for that reason, I'm going to go with them to take it. Then the last 3:25 game, 2-12 Raiders head to the 9-5 Texans. Not a whole lot to say about this one. The Raiders, very bad. Texans, playing really well right now. I want to say it's like 4 or 5 straight wins for them. Like I said, they're really still right there in the mix for this AFC South division race, which, as a couple weeks ago might have seemed a little bit crazy, but they've been really dominating. Team offense been clicking. Or no, I'm sorry, it's 6 straight wins for them now after that loss to the Broncos. So, and in most of those games, other than the Titans game, they've scored at least 20 points, 40 points last week against the Cardinals. So I think they should have no problem, kind of dominating the Raiders in this one. Give me the Texans and give me that 14.5. Yeah, the Raiders are that bad. They'll cover a 14.5 point spread. Then the Sunday night game, we have the 11-3 New England Patriots heading to the 7-7 Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens are currently 3-point favorites in this one with a total set at 48.5. So the Ravens get back in the win column. Nice win last week against the Bengals. Offense was clicking. Like I said, defense had some takeaways, had that one pick six. So nice win for them. Patriots were up big, and like the offense had a good game. It was Travion Henderson was like running all over the place, had some big runs. Like I still, Drake May hasn't thrown for 300 yards, but I didn't think he like played bad. I thought he had a fine game. I guess no touchdowns, 1 interception. So yeah, it wasn't great. It was really leaning a lot more on that run game. I guess that's really what it comes down to. Can Drake May make the big plays? Can this finally maybe be the game he throws for 300 yards? The Ravens on Sunday night, like this seems like a spot where it's like, oh, they're not losing this one. Like this is a game they essentially have to win. If they win and Pittsburgh loses like I'm picking, they're tied once again for that division lead with, one more game to play here between them. But I just really haven't been impressed with the Ravens this year. I feel like so many times, like we've just all year been like, oh, the Ravens, they'll figure it out. This is going to be the week. And they just really never do. So for that reason, I am going to take the Patriots to go into Baltimore and get the win. And then wrapping up, Monday Night Football, 10-4 San Francisco 49ers head to the 8-6 Indianapolis Colts. San Francisco currently 6-point favorite in this one with a total set at 46.5. The Colts, it's just been kind of falling apart. Like I said, they had to go with 44-year-old Phillip Rivers last week. Did throw a touchdown, and, their defense actually kept Seattle at the end. So, like, I honestly thought for a second there the Colts were going to win that game, but just couldn't finish the deal. The Niners, dominant win over the Titans. Like I said, Titans not a very good team, but the Niners have been playing some pretty good footballs late. Like Brock Purdy, I've actually been impressed with. Had a bunch of turnovers in that Panthers game, but the last 2 weeks against the Browns and Titans, I guess, before then they're playing the Cardinals, so maybe not the greatest opponents, but he has been playing well. And honestly, the Colts are probably kind of closer to those lower tier opponents than they are to the Rams at this point. So for that reason, I think the Niners really shouldn't have a problem with this one. I think they get the W and cover that 6-point spread. So that's going to wrap it up. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like I said at the beginning, make sure to drop down in the comments your prediction for some of these games. Going to shout out some people that are dropping some winners. So that way, people know who to follow. And while you're down there, make sure to follow me. Check out all my socials. Follow the show here on Spotify. Subscribe if you're on YouTube. Make sure to like the video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace.